I am Marcello Emerson, and we start now another video from Metal Musicast channel. We begin the series of videos about the new wave of British heavy metal, which will be published this month of September. Then, please subscribe on the channel to follow it. I guarantee that it will be very, very interesting. And want to see the proof? Just see who's talking to me right now, Mr. Brian Ross,
Hi,
singer
how you doing?
Blitzkrieg band, a new wave of British heavy metal seminal band. Also sings in the band Satan, and was already part of the band Avenger, of course, the British Avenger, not the German. Hi, Mr. Brian Ross. Be
Hi,
welcome. How you doing?
how you doing, man?
once once more. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Let's start talking about the beginning of the band, the Blitzkrieg band. Did you record a three songs demo? Wake the
Yeah.
interest of the Need Records, and then the band ended. What do you remember about those times?
Well, I, we 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 recorded the demo in a recording studio in Leicester, and we sent it to pretty much every record company that existed. To be fair, and we got a couple of replies. But the one that interested us most was Neat Records. Neat Records got in touch and they said, um, we'll like what you're doing. Um, could you give us more? So we went up to the recording studio in Newcastle for Neat Records and recorded some stuff and took it from there. Really, I mean the band when we first put the band together, the band was called Split Image. And the first thing I said was, look, guys, this name has got to go. We need a new name. Um, and the manager that was looking after the band was a guy called Jez Gilman. He came up with a couple of possibilities and said, "How about this?" or "How about that?" There was nothing really that he suggested that kind of grabbed us at all. So we carried on under the name of Split Image for a while, and then Jez came in one night. We were rehearsing for a show, and he came in and he said, "Guys, I've got the name of the band." So I said, "Okay, well, what is it?" And he said, "Blitzkrieg." So I said, "Okay, what the hell is that?" And he said, "Well, it's a German word, and it literally means lightning war, or very fast attack." So we thought that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty much it kind of describes what we are. So we went with it, and over the years, it's had its fair share of problems from different places, but generally, people have accepted it for what it is, and it's a great. I love the name. I think it's a great name. I think it's probably one of the best names for a heavy metal band that there is, and I think to be fair. Um, I think Blitzkrieg and Satan are the two best names for heavy metal bands, and I'm fortunate to be in both, so so that's fine. But I mean, the band originally Blitzkrieg only actually existed for a year, and the reason why it came to an end so abruptly was because we were offered a record deal by Carrera Records, who at the time was Saxon's label. They offered us an album and single deal, and the British leg of the European tour with Saxon, supporting Saxon. And we were kind of up for that, and we got quite excited by that. But the guitar player Jim Serotto decided he didn't want to do it, so he quit the band. And at the time, I felt that I couldn't carry on Blitzkrieg without Jim, so we all went our separate ways, and that was the end of Blitzkrieg at that point. Um, there's not much more to say, really. I mean, we got around quite a lot. We played a lot of gigs in that year, and we were pretty well received wherever we played. I mean, it was great. Jim Serotto was a huge Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin fan, and Ian Jones, the other guitar player, was a huge Judas Priest fan. So when you put the two influences together, it was quite unique, and that was Blitzkrieg's sound. So and it was great times, you know. I mean, not to be fair, none of us really knew what was going on. We weren't aware of the new wave of British heavy metal. It hadn't actually existed at that point when we first got together. We were just um, a a classic British metal band, really, and we got caught up in all of the new wave thing. As I think a lot of bands did. Saxon did, Iron Maiden did, Cloven Hoof. You know, all of these bands, they all sort of came through from the and became part of the new wave of British heavy metal, which kind of still exists today. I guess I guess it will. It probably always will.
Okay, and when the Blitzkrieg band ended, you became a singer of a Satan band, did you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean how that happened. I mean when Blitzkrieg after the demise of Blitzkrieg, if you like, I put together a new band, and I wanted it to sort of follow on from Blitzkrieg without it being Blitzkrieg, if you see what I mean. And so I gave it the name Avenger. And also I was managing a band at the time as well. But I got a request from Satan. Would I be interested in doing an album? And I said, yeah, of course. Because I knew the guys, and I was aware of what they were doing, and I'd seen them a couple of times. And you know, great guys, great bunch of guys. And I just thought, well, why don't I do this album? It's you know, it's pretty good. I like the stuff. The songs were strong, they were good. And so we did Caught in the Act, and it was kind of it was a kind of it was a weird time, really. I mean, I was in there doing this band called Satan, and like Blitzkrieg, we had an awful lot of problems with the name, with certain people, and the guys became to the point where they wanted to change the name of the band and become more commercial, and I really didn't want to go down that road. So we agreed to sort of disagree, and we went our separate ways, which is why I left Satan. And it's just one of those things. I think, you know, we always said that at some point we would get back together again, and it took a while, but we did eventually do it, you know.
And then at that time, a new American band records a version of Blitzkrieg music.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they did. Yeah.
a new at that time it was a new American band. It's called Simple Metallica, and that motivates you to fight for the band's return.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was actually in the recording studio at the time. I was recording songs for the Time of Changes album, and I got home after one of the sessions that day, and my wife said to me, "Oh, there's been a guy on the telephone for you," and I said, "Oh yeah, who?" And she said, "Oh, Lars Ulrich from a band called Metallica." And I said, "All right, what did he want?" And she said, "Oh, well, I don't know what he wanted, but he's going to call you back later." And to be honest, I've got to be perfectly honest, I really didn't believe it. I thought it was somebody messing about, you know. But anyway, he did call back later. He called back about 10 o'clock at night, actually. And he said, "Hi, Brian, you know, I'm with a drummer with a band called Metallica, but I already knew about them." And I said, "Yeah, I know who you are." And he said, "Well, look, you know, to cut to the chase, we would like to do a cover version of Blitzkrieg. Are you cool with that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, of course. I mean, if you want to do a cover of one of my songs, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all." So I dictated the lyrics over the phone to him, and he wrote them down, and I'll give him the chord structure over the phone. And they're still, Metallica still, bless them, they still managed to get it wrong. Some of the lyrics in their version's wrong, and some of the chord structures are way off. But that doesn't matter. It's their version of it. And over the years, people have asked me so many times, what do I think of Metallica's version of Blitzkrieg? Well, it's Metallica. It is what it is, and it's such a great thing. I mean, I mean, there's been things that have gone with it. They still play it to this day. They play it every other gig. When they're out on tour, they'll do a night and they'll do Am I Evil? The next night they'll do Blitzkrieg, then Am I Evil? Then Blitzkrieg, and so on. And it's great. And I've met up with the guys a couple of times, and they're still huge fans, which is nice. And it's just one of those things. It's kind of it doesn't happen often that a band of that caliber calls you up and said, "Can we do one of your songs?" But it's nice when they do.
Okay. I really knew Blitzkrieg by this version of Metallica.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I became a fan of Blitzkrieg because this album is so great. It's so great, this album. Congratulations by this album. It's so important for the heavy metal. This album is called A Time of Changes.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's a great album. Do you remember the times about these recordings, the studio sessions, the
Yeah.
composing?
Well, basically, what it was, as I say, I'd been in Satan, and I was ready to, I'd come out of Satan, and I was ready to do something else. And I managed a band called Lone Wolf for a while, and did the vocals on their single. But that really wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to put a new band together, and I wanted to go off and do something like that. But the record company was saying, well, look, we're getting fan mail all of the time, saying that they'd heard that we'd written a lot of songs, enough for an album. When was this album going to be released? And so I did a few interviews to try and put the record straight, if you like. And I'd said the Blitzkrieg album is never going to be released, because Blitzkrieg doesn't exist anymore, and there's no point in sort of doing that. Anyway, to cut a very long story extremely short, basically what I did was, after a lot of pressure from a lot of fans all over the world, and the record company saying, "Look, Brian, you got to do something," I decided that I was going to do a solo album, and the title of the album was going to be Blitzkrieg: A Time of Changes, and by Brian Ross, or the Brian Ross Band, if you like. And that was the idea. We went into the studio, started recording all of the songs that Blitzkrieg had originally written back in 1980, 81. And while that was going on, the press got hold of it, and the Sounds and Kerrang published that Blitzkrieg were back together and they were doing an album. And I thought, I can't fight this any longer. This is obviously what people want. So we just simply dropped the Brian Ross Band part and just moved Blitzkrieg from the title of the album to the band that was doing it. And it was great. It was great fun to do. The songs are they're great songs. Stuff that me and Jim had written back in 1980, 81. And we played around the circuit when we played live. We decided, it was just so nice to finally release them, I guess. And the album was so well received that I felt that probably putting Blitzkrieg back together was a good idea, to be honest. And that's kind of where it all started from. And that was in 1985. And Blitzkrieg has pretty much been together all of that time since 1985, right up to the present, with the exception of a couple of times when we kind of went off the road for a while. I was involved in a car accident, and I took a year out and did nothing. In fact, I was injured, and I kind of at that point I didn't. I was rethinking my position in music, and I was going to. I wasn't going to come back, basically. Um, but I started to miss it, as you do, and I just wanted to get back out there again. So I put a band together, and we went out there and played and wrote some more songs, and the rest's history. Really, we just carried on from there. And I know there's been a lot of lineup changes in the band. That's being talked about a lot, and a lot of people assume various different things. But I'll tell you, I'll give you the truth straight. And the truth is, very simply, it's not that I'm a bad guy to work with, but I'm very demanding. And I kind of demand from the musicians involved in Blitzkrieg at whatever point, when the day comes when you really no longer want to be there, that's the day you leave. Because I want people giving 120% all of the time. Because that's what I do, and I wouldn't expect anybody to give less. So some people just can't handle that, and they've played for a while in the band, and then they decide, well, it's time to move on. So, and good luck to them all. I'm still friends with every bloody one of them. They're all great people. They're all great musicians, and we had over the years we've had some great times. I've worked with some great people, still do. And that's it, really. I mean, Blitzkrieg is Blitzkrieg. We're still here, and we're at the present moment in time writing material for a new album.
Yeah, and Blitzkrieg skipping the spirit of this one in another albums. This is the newest album of Blitzkrieg, I think.
Yep.
Judge Not. Yeah, it's a great
Good,
album.
yeah.
I got this one. I got a Absolute Power.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that all these Blitzkrieg albums uh, are keeping the same spirit of this one. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, that is true. I don't want to destroy what was initially set up back in 1980. I like to keep the feel of the band the same, but at the same time, I like to bring fresh ideas in as well. So it's a kind of a mixture of the two things. It's a mixture of old and new. It's a mixture of 1980 and the present day, whatever that might be at the time. I think the fans appreciate that. I mean, there's been so many bands have played recorded an album back in, say, for example, back in 1981, and then they've come back and played an album of songs that they wrote in 1998, if you like, and then it's nothing. The two albums don't compare; they're totally different. And I think it's great for the musician, but it's not so great for the fan, because what is the musician without the fan? Absolutely nothing. It makes no difference what we do. If the fans don't accept it and if they don't like it, you've wasted your time. So when we do an album, we've got one foot in 1980, but we're sort of looking at how can we keep it fresh, how can we do this, and so we do that all the time. We do it constant.
Okay, and just to say about this album, Judge Not, songs like Who's Blind, Forever is a Long Time,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. Wide Legend and Headless, Wide Legend and Headless. It's a great song. It's amazing, man. It's
Well,
amazing.
Wide-Legged and Headless is a play on an old Andy Farewell Low song. Not the song itself, just the title. And Andy Fairweather Low did a song called "Wide-Legged and Wide-Eyed and Legless," and so I like the title. I always have. But basically, it's a follow-on from a song that I wrote many years ago. So it kind of follows the story on a little, but I tend to do that sometimes. But I'm really pleased that you like it. To be honest, I wasn't sure whether people would actually like that or not, because it's kind of strange. But I like to push the boundaries sometimes, and I certainly did with that one. So I'm delighted that you like it.
And Brian, let's talk a little bit about the new wave of British heavy metal, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. And at that time, the first days of this musical movement, are there a relationship between the bands, among the bands?
Yes, I mean we all pretty much knew each other, and we all sort of, we didn't hang out together, but if we ever met, at a gig or whatever, we all knew, we were all aware of who each other was, and I think that was kind of back in the day, back in the 79, 1980. That's when I first met Saxon. Great guys, and we're still friends to this day. And and it's nice to meet up with them now and again. Because we all do what we do, we don't actually get much chance to sort of get together socially. But now and again, we sort of meet each other at a venue or a festival or whatever, and we'll sort of talk over old times and stuff. It's great fun. And yes, I think it's true to say that we're all Raven, Venom, um, Fist, all of the bands that were on Neat, we all knew each other. We all still know each other. We're still friends, and it was a great thing. Um, the new wave of British heavy metal wasn't to me. It wasn't about the music. To me, it was about the people. It was a way of. It was an attitude. It was a way of thinking. Um, it was many different things to many different people, and very important still to a lot of people. But to me, Blitzkrieg was always and still is a classic British metal band, really. And if that is part of the new wave, then fine. I mean, I read sometimes that the class Judas Priest as a part of the new wave of British heavy metal. I'm not sure that they were, but I'm sure they're honoured by that. And Priest are probably the band that every one of the new wave bands wanted to be. To be fair, I think I mean, Priest was so good back then, and they still are. They've created some fantastic masterpieces over the years, and still continue to do so. And Rob Halford is the singer. He is the voice, and the guy's amazing. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I am a great fan of Judas Priest. It's amazing. It's as you said, they released masterpieces of heavy metal. It's amazing. But let's talk about the Iron Maiden, Brian. Did you realize at that time that Iron Maiden would be the hugest band of this movement?
No, I mean, I don't think any of us realized what we were involved in. And if you'd asked me that question back in 1981, if you'd said to me back in 1981, do you think Blitzkrieg will still exist in 2021? I would say, nah. You know, I, I, I just, back then I was a lot younger, and I really didn't think I was going to be doing this for much longer after my 30th birthday. I'm now 66, so I'm still going, and it's good fun. But a lot of people are going to shoot me down for this one. But please be gentle. I'm not being. I'm not. What I'm about to say isn't to be nasty or severe to anybody. This is just my personal opinion, and my personal opinion is that Saxon were always a better band than Iron Maiden. Some
Wow.
people would disagree with that, and that's fine. That's their opinion, and I respect that. But I mean, like when Yannick joined Maiden, I was delighted for him. I've known Yannick from the old days when he was in White Spirit on Neat Records.
Yeah.
And when he told me that he was joining Iron Maiden, I was delighted for him. Iron Maiden are a great band. It's just that I actually prefer Saxon.
Okay, okay. I have a friend. He's called Val Simmons, and Val prefers Saxon than Iron Maiden. And Val is watching us
Yep.
right now. Yeah. Greetings for Val Simmons. He prefers Saxon than Iron Maiden. And yeah, he's watching us right now. Val New Borba, Val Simmons. Greetings to the legend, Val said exactly right now. Good afternoon. Greetings to the legend, Brian Ross. It's my
Thank you, sir.
friend Val Simmons. And let's go, Brian. Please, let's talk a little bit about uh, the next plans to Blitzkrieg and Satan, both
Yeah.
bands. Yeah, the next plans.
Well, the next thing, I mean, as we're all painfully aware, um, 2020 was a total write-off for all of us. And so, I mean, 2020 should have been the celebration year for Blitzkrieg. We'd been together 40 years. So this year, 2021, is the 40th anniversary of the release of the single Buried Alive. So we're hoping to sort of get things together and celebrate um, Blitzkrieg's formation and the release of the single in one go. Um, and how we're doing that is we're actually, as I said before, we're in the middle of writing a brand new album. Um, so, I mean, there's not much happening in the way of playing gigs live at the moment. Traveling to Europe is still difficult for all bands. We're still trying to find out, where we stand with that and when we can play, where we can play. But once we do, we'll be back out on tour again. We're obviously looking forward to sort of coming back to South America. We enjoy playing there. We've played a couple of times in Brazil and so on. So we've had a great time out there. And so, I've taken time out tonight to speak to your good self. But as we were together on Tuesday night going through new songs, and they're sounding very strong. And I'm very happy with what we're coming up with. Same with Satan. Satan is right in the middle of writing a new album as well. I don't know why I do this to myself. I always seem to manage to be writing an album with Satan and Blitzkrieg at the same time, and it's kind of hard, but it's a needs must thing, I guess. And because of the COVID-19 situation, both bands have found themselves in a position where we have to do an album. Or people are going to forget who we are. So we're looking forward to doing that. As yet, I've not rehearsed with Satan yet, but I've got that to look forward to. Blitzkrieg have rehearsed a few times. We've managed to get together and we've started working on the new songs. Next step, once we've got them all, of course, is to start recording. So looking forward to that. But I think it's likely that Blitzkrieg and Satan will not be coming out on tour till next year now. I think we're trying to sort of get things sorted so that everybody is obviously safe. And things are going to be slightly different to the way they used to be, I guess. But Satan and Blitzkrieg love going out there playing, so you can guarantee that we will be doing that as soon as we possibly can.
Okay, just one more question, please, Brian. Okay, just a curiosity. What's your favorite album for Metallica?
From Metallica. Oh, that
Yeah.
is so easy. That is so easy. And again, I can almost feel the knives going into my back. But to me, Metallica at their absolute best was the Black Album,
Oh, yeah.
without a shadow of a doubt. It was a beautiful album. It was a, dare I say it, it was a British metal album.
Wow.
It just sounded British. It was kind of what Metallica always wanted to create. It was, they from the very beginning, Metallica wanted to sound British rather than American, and they did do it. I mean, in their earlier albums, Ride the Lightning and so on, they sounded very new wave. But I think bands have to progress. They're great albums. I do love them. But for me, without a shadow of a doubt, Metallica's best album is the Black Album.
Great, great, amazing. Mr. Brian Ross, um, once again, thank you for your time, for your attention. Thank you for
Thank you.
accepting my invitation. And feel free to leave a message to the Brazilian fans, please.
Oh, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for asking me to do this. I appreciate it. It's nice to know that there are still people out there that remember and like what I do. And that brings me nicely to the fans. We have got um, some of the most dedicated fans in the world. And, they're always there for us when and I love each and every one of them. And just a great thing. So my message to you guys is keep the faith. We will not let you down. Come and see us when we get back out to play again. And it's party time, basically. Yeah, party time. Blitzkrieg and an audience is party time.
Yeah, as soon as possible. I hope to
As
see
soon as
you
possible,
in
absolutely.
Brazil, in São Paulo. Thank you so much. See
Thank
ya.
you.
See you later. Thank you. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye bye now.
Thank,
Bye bye.
thank you so much.